How you doing? I'm doing a little May update. It is the end of May going into June. Today is May 30th. And this is a security update that I would wait until next week or the week after, but I got a lot going on. Oh man, I was really hoping at some point here I can start telling you that, hey, security is getting better. It's getting a lot better. But it's not. It's not getting a lot better. And how do I know? Well, here's some stuff that's going on. We are on the 76th killing in the Santa Elena province. 76th killing since the beginning of the year. These are Sicariato-style killings. Now, that does not mean that these were gang members that were killed. It does not mean that other gang members killed them. We are finding that very often this is the vaccinators. The vaccinators are extortion. They come to you, no matter who you are. You could be somebody who makes centavos, who makes cents per day, doing something like selling fruit from a little cart, right? And they will tell you, if you want to live, if you want your family to live, you're going to pay us $1 a week. But usually it's way more than that. Usually it's more money than you make. They're not very understanding as to how much is too much. So they will tell you, look, you're going to basically give me all your money, or you're going to wind up dead, or your family's going to wind up dead, or someone's going to get really, really hurt. Something like that's going to happen to you. And a lot of these killings are, I couldn't afford to pay the vaccinators. And they make an example out of you because life is cheap. So you have that. Now, these same vaccinators, they've got different levels, right? You got the guy who's shaking down the fruit cart guy, bottom of the barrel. And then they're also going after the bus company. So here, public transit is a really big deal. You've got buses that can take you anywhere. Like if you want to go from one end of the country to the other, it doesn't cost you very much money to do so on a bus. And so a lot of people use buses. So there's a lot of bus lines. There's a lot of bus accidents, because they drive like psychopaths. But the bus companies make a lot of money. For Ecuador, they make a lot of money. So these vaccinators are going to the bus lines and saying, hey, you are going to pay us to remain safe so that nothing happens to your bus. Now, these buses also get robbed every single day, right? And all of these things the government is fully aware of. They are unable to do anything about it because it's just so widespread. Now, there's others who may say that it's more than it's just so widespread, that there are certain people involved that make it impossible because they don't ever do anything when they do catch the guys. Now, would it be more effective to have an example made where you start stacking bodies? Yeah. And that's exactly what the gangs are doing, right? That's what the vaccinators are doing. So the ones that have moved up to threatening the buses, the bus lines, many of them, not many, but a few, but it could end up being many, have shut down. They said, look, our company, we're not going to this city anymore because some vaccinators said, we're going to firebomb your bus if you don't pay us this much money every single month or every single trip sometimes. Now, in the United States, we would have a task force that would effectively take care of this. Unfortunately, that is not happening here. Or if they do have a task force, it is just vastly undermanned or under-authoritized, you might say. What do I mean by that? I mean that even when they do catch vaccinators, when they do catch gang members who have shot somebody, these people often do not stay in jail. they're allowed to leave, or if they're not allowed to leave instantly, it does happen later on. You never hear about, these guys who were caught on this day, now they're in court. And, these guys who were caught on this day, now they're in prison and they're going to stay there. And this is what happened. You don't see that kind of thing here. You don't ever hear about it. It's not in the news, but everybody knows. Everybody knows. They just they don't. Real prosecution does not happen very often. And so you've got criminals who did a crime, and then they were done and served their sentence, and they're out, and they're going to go do it again, because there's no opportunities. There's not enough employment to say it is better for you as a young man to go and get this job working for this company than it is for you to turn to a life of crime. The life of crime pays more. Yes, you could end up dead, but it pays more. So you have to ask yourself, what's better for me, right? And that's why there's a lot of crime in Ecuador. So it's not getting any better. I would say that, it's getting a little bit worse, especially the road piracy that's happening to buses. So if you don't understand about how the buses work here, they're just trucking along down the highway, and there's somebody waiting on the side of the road. They stop the bus, even at night, and they pick them up. I would not call this the best way to avoid trouble, but it's just how it works. And most of the time, like 90% of the time when they pick somebody up, they are not trouble. But that 10% of the time is pretty effective, because it only takes, one dirtbag on a bus to take everybody's stuff. Nobody ever fights back. Nobody wants to die for stuff. Nobody wants to die for stuff here. Although, when I say nobody fights back, and I'm very sorry I said this, just so you know, who am I talking to? The people in the Sierra. The people in the Sierra know how to handle crime. And how do they handle it? They do not take it. So if you look like you're going to come into their area and cause some trouble, or you're going to come and steal some stuff, the community will surround you. They will drag you from your vehicle, whatever it may be, and they will beat you. Well, first they'll strip you, then they'll beat you. And if you really look like you were going to do something bad, they might burn you alive. Yes, I am serious. Where we live in Arbarrio, a few weeks ago, three guys on a motorcycle. Three guys on a motorcycle. This motorcycle is not moving fast. Three guys on a motorcycle are touring the neighborhood looking to rob somebody. And it's just very obvious, right? It's three young men on a motorcycle, masks on, dressed in black. It's just so obvious of what they're up to, because they're just going round and around. They're not going anywhere, right? And, well, they jump off to try and attack somebody, and this taxi who's been following them, he rams into their bike, throws all three of them off the bike. Two of them get up and run like hell. The third guy, because he was hit so hard, has a broken leg. The community is not understanding, and they strip him naked, and they beat him, despite having a broken leg, and they tie him to a pole. And then they call the police. And nobody knows who may have stripped this man and beat him. Nobody can remember. They just found him this way. So I don't think that guy's going to be super eager to go back to his life of crime. It'll take a while anyway, because it's the broken leg. And nobody feels bad for him. And everybody knows who he is now, because his photo went out on Barrio Chat on WhatsApp. And everybody knows who he is. Everybody's seen him. If we see him again, he'll probably be lucky to escape. So he should not come to this barrio again. Oh, vecinos, my neighbors. Anyway, so that's my update. I know it's not very bright, but understand that there are people here who understand that this criminality cannot go on forever. That there are ways that the people can handle it that maybe the government cannot. and maybe they could work together to handle it. I don't know. But this kind of extortion and stuff that happens, it's happened before in the United States, right? Like the lead times of the mafia. They just go around. I mean, they'd go to every business and shake them down, and you've got to pay these extortion things. And then eventually it went away. It went away through the rule of law. As soon as the rule of law can be well established here, and it doesn't mean that all the corruption has to go away in order for that to happen. It'd probably be helpful, but it doesn't all have to go away in order for there to be rule of law. And rule of law would go a long way to getting foreign investment, which means really good jobs where the companies pay you every time they're supposed to. You know, they don't go on like little furloughs where they say, oh, sorry, we don't have enough money. You're going to have to wait 3 months to get a paycheck. And you're afraid to quit your job because maybe you won't get another one and you'll never get your money from the previous job. So people keep working when they're not getting paid, which sucks. Totally sucks. And sometimes when that's a government agency that does that to you, no, I'm not talking federal government, but sometimes city governments do that to people. Dude, that sucks. That totally sucks. No wonder people turn to a life of crime. You know, it's more reliable. Anyway, am I still going to live here? Yeah, I still am. I really like my neighbors. Yeah. And I love Ecuador. And there's a lot of good things. And this is a security update, though, which ain't good. So, unfortunately, that's what you're getting. So, anyway, I hope it was helpful, maybe informative. But hey, I'll talk to you later. Oh, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions, anything you want me to try and cover. I might not do it because, you know, I just kind of do what I want to do. So, yeah, I'm like that. Anyhow, have a good one.